Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington Charles. Mike Washington is out on assignment. We should have AD Drew joining us as we get into our segment for poll rankings and games of the week and see what he thinks, much like Charles, as we get into it. But I always like the show where the diaspora is there in the place. And I'm not sure where you would be, but we at the games all Saturday as things came through. When you talked about Coco Gauff, I got a text from the wife. She was so excited. Obviously, the Atlanta connection, and she won the U.S. Open first major. But there was a component where they were talking about some questions that were brought up, and I thought I'd share this fantastically in terms of the HBCU connection. 19-year-old Coco Gauff, as you know by now, won the Grand Slam. Coco shared that she has gone to the FAMU and Bethune-Cookman Classic, like a lot of people out of Florida and throughout the country, either directly connected or not. And then she shared more details where she was quoted as saying, my family pretty much grew up like in HBCU, she said, quote, my cousins go to Bethune-Cookman. Quote, if I were to go to college, and I still want to, at least online, in person is not possible at this point. But I always said it had to be an HBCU. I always said, if tennis didn't take the route that it did look, I would have 100% would have wanted to go HBCUs. HBCUs are important, and having spaces where Black people can feel free to be creative and live their life is important. Having these spaces are important if you look at the way that HBCU started and the historical context behind it is pretty incredible how far we have to come and become one of the top institutions in the country in club. As you know, who was the first Black tennis player to win a Grand Slam title in 1956 as a sculpture dedicated to her in front of Arthur Ashe Stadium that was unveiled 4 years ago. As you know, he is a alumni of FAMU University. So pretty sweet to see that connection. I had to find a way to do it. I was excited checking it out as well. Hate that I didn't get to see it. I was out there in the hot sun in Prairie View, Texas, checking out that game, but that's about as much as I want to talk about the Prairie View game on Saturday. With that being said, Charles, what kind of news of the day do you have?
Let's take a look at the players of the week in the MEAC and the SWAC. We'll start off in the MEAC. Let's take a look at Norfolk State junior quarterback Otto Kuhns was named the MEAC Football Offensive Player of the Week, presented by Coca-Cola. Morgan State senior defensive back Jordan Tolles, he earned the Defensive Player of the Week, while Morgan State freshman Shane Messenger was named the Rookie of the Week. Let's take a look at Otto Kuhns, the 6'4", 194-pound junior from Norfolk State, connected on 15 of 20 passes for 199 yards with 3 touchdowns, with passes of 41, 38, and 9 yards in the 31-23 win against Hampton. He also rushed 4 times for 15 yards. Jordan Tolles, 6'1", 209-pound senior defensive back, collected 2 key interceptions during the Bears' upset bid against the Akron Zips. He also recorded 5 tackles, 2 solo, a part of the Bears' defense that garnered a shutout in the third quarter. So those were your offensive and defensive players of the week in the MEAC.
Good stuff. Shout out to all the players of the week in the MEAC. They do an offensive lineman, rookie, as well as specialists. And so you see all those folks represented. Great news there. Have a bit of some tough news that I need to get out to those that are reading about it. And for those that may have not gotten this update. Grambling State released an update on Jaquavis Richmond, injury from the LSU game this past weekend. This was coming directly from GSUtigers.com. Richmond is a 6'2", 215-pound linebacker from Shreveport, Louisiana, who prepped at Woodlawn High School. He was credited with 3 total tackles, 1 solo in the Saturday game until his injury. The direct statement that is coming from the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Grambling State University, Dr. Travion Scott, said during the Saturday night contest at LSU, GSU linebacker Jaquavis Richmond suffered an apparent injury to the head neck area. He was taken to Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center, where he has received exceptional care from the wonderful medical staff. This morning, he underwent successful surgery to address the injury. The Department of Athletics would like to thank the GSU Sports Medicine staff, Ochsner LSU Health, GSU Athletic, and University Administrative staffs, GSU President Rick Galla, Jr., LSU President Tate, and AD Woodard, Deputy AD Osbury, Associate AD for Sports Medicine, Mickey Collins, and the respective staffs for their assistance and response last night. Once again, we want to thank the wonderful athletic trainers and medical staffs of both Grambling State, LSU, and Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center on the extraordinary care and response to Jaquavis. At this time, there will be no further comment on this matter, so certainly continued prayers go out for the best health and recovery of Jaquavis Richmond, and I'm sure at the appropriate time we'll get more information. With that being said, on a more positive note, let me go back to you, Charles, in terms of, I know you want to provide some more updates on Players of the Week. This time, I think from the SWAC.
Yeah, let's take a look at the SWAC. The SWAC has named Alabama A&M's Ryan Morrow and Terrell Gardner, along with Florida A&M's Isaiah Major and Arkansas Pine Bluff's Jonas Davis, is SWAC Football Players of the Week for their impressive performances during games played this past weekend. Let's take a look at A&M's Ryan Morrow. Morrow was a key contributor for Alabama A&M's offensive unit during the Bulldogs' home opener versus Lane. He rushed 18 times, tallying 191 yards rushing, along with 3 touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, Isaiah Major was all over the field for FAMU's defense in their non-conference road outing against South Florida. He finished the game with 11 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks. Major and the Rattlers defense held USF offense to less than 350 yards after they had over 500-plus yards at Western Kentucky during week 1. Now let's take a look at the newcomer of the week in the SWAC. It is Arkansas Pine Bluff Jonas Davis. Davis put on a show in the non-conference outing versus Tennessee State at the Southern Heritage Classic. Carried 24 times for 167 yards, including a 4-yard touchdown, and caught 3 passes for 46 yards. So those are your Players of the Week in the SWAC.
Shout out to the SWAC Players of the Week. Good stuff with these folks getting it done. Got one more Player of the Week that I want to get out there. You know, you have the partnership with the Big South, an OVC member of Tennessee State, as you have the Defensive Player of the Week, James Green, linebacker, 6'1", 220-pound grad, Olympia, Florida, out of Tennessee State. Green was a force in the Tennessee State 24-14 victory over Arkansas Pine Bluff in the Battle of the Southern Heritage Classic in Memphis. The graduate made 11 tackles, 6 solo of the Tigers defense, but his biggest play of the game came with seconds remaining, holding a 17-14 slight advantage. Green scooped up a block, game-tying field goal attempt, and raced 92 yards of score to put the game on ice for TSU victory. So shout out James Green and getting that done. One other thing before we go to this first break, we'll come back on the side. We'll have AD Drew as well as yourself as I'll break down the top 10. A little tease there, Charles. You see that? You like that?
Indeed.
HBCU Ghost secures multi-year broadcast partnership agreement with CIAA for football, men's and women's basketball, and Olympic sports to 2032. This is out of the CIAA. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about them not coming to agreement. Well, they have now. Allen's Media Group, AMG, announced a 10-year media rights partnership with CIAA that grants HBCU Go cable, linear streaming, broadcast, VOD, and pay-per-view rights coverage of all CIAA team sports through June 30th, 2032. Big contract there, big agreement. And I heard a little bird told me that SIC may be on the way. We'll see what that looks like. Let's get into our first break, and we'll come back on the other side with some top 10 poll rankings and see what AD Drew and Charles thinks about that. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisine.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and AD Drew. With that being said, we're going to get into the mid-major rankings. Week number 2, things have changed, or maybe not. Let's see. I can tell you this. There were 2 teams that dropped out this week, Drew and Charles. With that being said, the teams that dropped out were Central State Matadors, lost last weekend. They're 1-1 on the season, as well as their rival, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds, that lost in their second week after getting the big win the first week, falling to 0-1, the Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. They lost to a team that you know about, AD Drew, Tuskegee. Receiving votes this week was West Virginia State Yellow Jackets at a 1-1, 1-0 in conference. And we'll talk a little bit about a big game they had this week in conference play in the next segment. But with that being said, also receiving votes was Fort Valley State, the Wildcats. 1-1 on the season, 1-0 in conference play, 111 points as Yellow Jackets had 116. And right behind them, Central State's, they're still receiving votes, so they're in the mix. 1-1 on the season, 109 points total. Let's get in the top 7 and see who makes the top 7 list. With that being said, at number 7, you got going there is Bowie State Bulldogs. They get in the mix and they are getting it done. As they lost, they fall a couple of spots there as they were previously, I believe, at number 3 last weekend, getting it done. 1-1 on the season, but couldn't quite move there. Moving to number 6, you have none other than Allen Yellow Jackets as they continue to win. They're 1-0. They had another game. So they could be 2-0, but that game was an exhibition game, so we don't put it on the schedule there as they keep in the mix. 113 points as they were not ranked. Bringing us to number 5. At number 5, we have none other than Miles Golden Bears. Miles Golden Bears is doing well. They're in the top 7 at number 5. They continue to move up the ladder as they jump into the polls this week as they were not ranked, just like Allen was not ranked last week. They're 2-0, 1-0, getting that big victory over in-state rival. That's Alabama State. And guess what? They have Arkansas Pine Bluff this week, so they have a chance to make back-to-back week statements at the FCS level within the SWAC. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Bringing us to number 4 as we continue to roll up the track and down the track. Tuskegee. Tuskegee is rolling. Golden Tigers ahead of schedule in many people's eyes. They're getting it done in terms of what they get there. They're 2-0 on the season, open up in the Rail Tales Classic. They come back and get it done against Kentucky State in a conference game. So they're up early, 2-0, 1-0. A lot of folks are smiling. They move up a spot from being 5 last week with 151 points as they keep going. With that being said, let's get into number 3. At number 3 this week is none other than Virginia State Trojans. They got a big non-conference win, 2-0. One first-place vote. They snuck out of that after this win there. First week, remember, they beat Norfolk State. And, hey, what would you say? Norfolk State got a win over their rival in Hampton at the FCS level, so it makes the win over Norfolk State by Virginia State even stronger. They're rolling as they roll 165 points. They were previously ranked 4, so they move up a spot this week as they continue to win. Bring us to number 2. There are no changes this week at the 2 spot as Virginia Union Panthers keep rolling. They are 2-0, 2 first-place votes, but they remain at 2 as the big dog that continues to eat, I should say, cat Tigers continue to done. But Virginia Union Panthers are rolling. Good football as they continue to get it done there. Bringing us to the number 1 spot this week, if you would, is Benedict Tigers. As they move to 2-0, 6 first-place votes as they just keep rolling, getting done. Big stuff, big spots for the first 2 teams in the rankings. Benedict did get a conference win as they have 186 points, remain at first place in week number 2 in the rankings. I'm going to go to you, Charles, as you were smiling up and down, especially at the bottom couple of teams in the list. What do you think of my top 7 this week, Charles?
No, I was really curious where Miles was going to jump in. But I can go with him at 4. I wanted to get him. I wanted to sneak him in front of Tuskegee, but Tuskegee got a couple quality wins. I go with that. I don't have any qualms with Tuskegee being where they are. But I can't say enough about Benedict. They played 2 games. They don't shut out 2 opponents. Oh man, you talk about. Talk about being dominant and sending statements out to everybody, like, anything got to come.
Yeah, you want to shut up?
Yeah.
Come on over here.
They issuing left hooks from the jump. So, kudos to Benedict and Chettis Berry, and don't take any calls from Baton Rouge right now, Coach Berry. Just chill out.
Man, y'all just be rushing all this stuff. Before I go to you, Drew, I'll come back to Charles for one more question. Since he said he was looking for Miles, he wasn't too upset with that, but he thought maybe wanted to push him over to Tuskegee. Last week, Tuskegee was at 5. They won, they slide up. So you were considering, I guess, maybe that Miles should jump over Tuskegee?
I considered it. They're 2-0. And they have UAPB this weekend, so I let's see what happens after UAPB, because that was really impressive, especially when you start talking about people were saying Alabama State is going to be a SWAC East contender. They have the defense, and they got a D2 loss on their ledger. That's pretty impressive. I take my hat off to the Miles program. Miles is back in the football business, man. Miles versus Tuskegee, they can't get here fast enough.
Exactly. Great tease, and you led perfectly and sent that fastball to Drew. Before I ask him about the top 10, I got to ask him about that same question. You can't be biased, Drew, and I know you can do it. Miles ranking Tuskegee. If you take out the ranking before season, obviously you probably understand the reference about it's hard for a team to necessarily jump a team that's been ahead of them. But right now, I can ask you this. Which one do you think are playing better football?
Here's my answer, Doc. Tuskegee, they got the victory against Fort Valley, but they had to hold on for that victory against Fort Valley. And kudos to the Tuskegee defense for stopping Fort Valley 6 times inside the 5-yard line. That's unprecedented. That's almost on the level of what Benedict is doing to every doggone body. They not even let you get down there.
Yeah, but go downfield on Benedict.
But the fact that Miles has a victory against an FCS, Miles has a victory against an FCS. So, of the two that you would consider the quality games, which one is more impressive to the eye of the voter? Holding on for a victory against Fort Valley, or beating, like Charles said, a team that was predicted to be a contender to challenge Florida A&M and Jackson State in the SWAC East? A team who I picked to finish ahead of one of those two teams to kind of break up the party, just being honest. So given that factor, I really have to consider, I would have put Miles ahead of Tuskegee, taking all bias out for the fact that I graduated from Tuskegee. I think the Miles victory over Alabama State impressed me, if I was voted in your poll, a little bit more than Tuskegee holding on against a Fort Valley in week 1, which also brings up the argument.
A professional. I told you he was a professional. Well job.
But it also brings up the argument of, should Bowie State be ahead of Allen? Allen 2-0, one of them is an exhibition game, and Bowie State with the victory over an FCS opponent. Is that FCS victory enough to bump them, even though they're the only team in your top 7 with a loss? Should that be enough to bump them over a team with the D2 win and an exhibition win, although be it over a D2 team? But just some things that if I was voting in your poll, I would have to do some real soul searching before I check which box I put those two in. Top 3, no problems with those top 3. That's perfect right there.
Allen is declining.
I like it. Good point by both of y'all. Let's get into our next break. We'll come back because we got some major games we need to discuss. We'll take our second break. We'll come back right back on the other side. You see how these guys break that down? I have no argument in regards to that. Usually, the way Mike does it, I like to turn off mics. But these gentlemen have themselves in such high esteem that I can't even get mad at them. Well done. In fact, I might have to think twice and actually agree with them in that. But just saying. We'll be right back on the other side of this second break.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
The analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into some mid-major classic games of the week. We're going to head up to the East Coast, if you would. East Rutherford, New Jersey, HBCU NYC football class. SIAC matchup that is out of SIAC territory. It's going to be Albany State Golden Rams versus Morehouse Maroon Tigers. Both of these teams have losses. One of them is trying to get the first win of the season. Want to see what y'all going and which direction you're going there. If we were going to go in terms of just how deep they're buried in terms of the rankings, Albany State is 16th in terms of all the mid-major teams out there. Maroon Tigers at 25. So tough matchup, only mid-major classic of the week. You got to go there. Sometimes it happens. That being said, Drew, I know it's hard to get excited about this game, but which direction you
going? I said this on Sunday's show. By rule, someone has to win this game. So let's start off right there. There are no more ties in college football. Everyone knows I live down here in South Georgia, so I get local TV coverage out the Albany area. And it's been interesting, not only with the TV coverage down here in this area, but just people who I know who are Albany State fans. They are not dealing with this transition too tough. Coach Gabe took a lot of the big horses with him to North Carolina when he went. So Coach Quinn Gray has had to rebuild, and now he's trying to build a team that is faster than what you've seen. So the Albany State, once they get it figured out, will be no more 3 yards in a cloud of dust, ground control, playing good defense. They're looking to try to spread it out and do what everybody else is doing. Problem is, right now, he doesn't have all of the horses to do what he wants to do. And then you got Morehouse, who's going through a total rebuild right now. If you're saying a team that needs this game more than the other one, Albany State needs this game more than Morehouse. I think the people in Atlanta, the Morehouse fans, could stomach, going through this rebuild this season. These people down here in South Georgia, they can't deal with this, bro. This is sickening to their stomach right here, watching this Albany State team play these last 2 weeks. But Morehouse will probably win the battle of the fans and probably have more fans in the out of the New York area in this particular game.
Yeah,
good point. Let me go to you, Charles. I see you got your head down. You act like you in Jackson State. You act like y'all always been winning. It's been tough times. You can show some of these folks some love a little bit.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I went through 7 years of tough times too. It all changed. It all changed one fateful September day. It all changed. But
September 21st, if I remember correct.
September 21st. Correct. It all changed. But yeah, you take a look at this game. It's a tough one. And like you said, Drew, somebody got to score. You take a look at Albany State. They're only averaging 11.5 points a game, 260 yards a game. And then you take a look at Morehouse. They're only averaging 16 points a game, 261 yards total offense per game. So, it's who can figure out how to scare up some points, if you will. And for that reason alone, like you said, I think Albany State needs this win real bad, but I think Morehouse is going to get it. I think the transition, like you said, it's going to take at least another week for Albany State. I'm going to go with Morehouse in this one.
Yeah. You say stir up some points, Charles. This game will probably be about a 52-40-45 score just because we said that. You know that.
Just because we said it, exactly. Somebody got to score.
A little further back south, still in the East Coast, independent game of the week is West Virginia State Yellow Jackets. Athens, West Virginia, independent, Mid-East Conference game, September 6th at 12 noon, high noon. They're just out the top 7. West Virginia State Yellow Jackets receiving votes, first team receiving votes. They're playing the historically white college, University of Concord, Mountain Lions, 0-2, 0-1. I got to believe Yellow Jackets are going to find a way to get this done and stay in the conference races. They're 1-0. They're going to send the Mountain Lions on their way. But let me go to Charles and see your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, big win coming up for UNC Pembroke from West Virginia State. So this is going to be huge. They got a player. He was the Box Row Player of the Week, Donovan Riddick. You take a look at him last week, 25 of 34, completed 73% of his passes, 281 yards. And you take a look at him, he's currently 5th in all of Division II in completion percentage. Sometimes you got to have a quarterback that can get the ball to the receivers. I think West Virginia, they're on the cusp of something big. We're going to see them jump into the polls. I got them with a win over Concord. In fact, they've beaten Concord 6 times on the road.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Hey, first of all, that Mountain East conference schedule, they play 10 conference games. So when you win that conference, you have truly earned it because you pretty much go against everybody in that conference as they only allow 1 non-conference game. But West Virginia State, despite a 1-1 record, averaging 36 points per game, rushing for almost 200 yards per game. And we talked about this on the SportsWrap on Sunday with the clock. And I think I even mentioned it a little bit on the Sunday morning show, Dr. Cavil. The change in the rule where the clock not stopping on first downs has kind of changed the dynamics to not necessarily the team who has the most rushing yards, but the most rushing attempts, which allows you to shorten the game up. So when you're running for almost 200 yards per game, 74 attempts in 2 games. So they're averaging about, 37 attempts per game. That's the type of offense that you need to short games up, take control of the games, and let your defense do what it needs to do because the defense is over on the side resting. I'm with Charles. West Virginia State, they're going to get this game. They'll drop a game in the conference. I don't think this is the one that they're going to drop, though.
With that being said, before we go into the second break, Lady Drew, I did want to ask you this question as the SIA group on the show officially. We'll do the SIAC game of the week on Thursday as well as the CIAA game. But I wanted to ask you now, which SIAC game of the week would you want to keep your eyes on and why?
Allen, Kentucky State.
They are in the top 7?
They are in the top 7. Kentucky State just dropped out of the top 7. So with Kentucky State have an opportunity to get a victory, get back in the top 7. But let's ask the question that everybody wants to know. Is Allen for real? Is Allen for real? I've said it. I said it Sunday. The best quarterback in the SIAC, not named Kelvin Durham, sits in Columbia, South Carolina right now in David Wright. This is the test for us to see if it's fool's gold at Allen, or is this a team that is going to sneak up on somebody? Because every year there's somebody in these conferences that sneaks up on somebody. It was Benedict last year. We knew Benedict was going to be good. No one expected them to be that good last year. So is Allen that team, or is it just, hey, it was a good peep, but when you took her out on a date, she had no conversation for you. She looked good, but she had no conversation. No sense.
Good stuff. We'll be right back after this break. Great comments in terms of those games. We'll turn it over and get into the major division rankings and then some major matchups. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this third break.
Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and his associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Test the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Let's get into these rankings in terms of the major division. See what you think in week number 2. Teams dropping out this week. Prairie A&M Panthers at home got beat up a little bit there, 1-1 on the season. They're still 1-0 in the conference race, which is the positive thing. Alabama State Hornets was stunned in many people's eyes as Miles Golden Bears gets it done as they lose the D2 SIAC. So that continues the matchup there. And Hampton Pirates drop out as well after what they thought was a big win in week 1 over Grambling. They fall to the rival in week 2, Norfolk State. With that being said, let's get into the top 7 and see what that looks like this week. At number 7, we have a team that is not ranked. Jumping into the top 7, Alabama A&M Bulldogs, 1-1 on the season. They get the showdown this week as they go to Southern. They'll be going in as the 7th ranked team in the poll rankings. We'll see what that looks like. At number 6, you also have a non-ranked team jumping in. Bulldogs coming in with 157 points, I should say. Howard Bison at number 6, 1-1 on the season as they get a win over Morehouse, 170 points, not ranked last weekend. That is the Morehouse Maroon Tigers we just talked about in their matchup, going back into another classic. At number 5, Tennessee State Tigers, 1-1 on the season. They get the big win. Told you about the player of the week out of the Big South OVC. Tennessee State Tigers rolling now after getting a victory. Tough opening game against Notre Dame, but they bounced back with a win in the Southern Heritage Classic, 174 points. As we get into those teams that are ranked, guess who's back in the top 4? At number 4, Jackson State Tigers, 2-1 on the season, 0-1 in the conference race, but they are 175 points. They are up 3 spots in the poll after bouncing back after week number 1. At number 3, Morgan State Bears, 1-1. Many folks, they would feel like they were that close, maybe seconds away, literally, from being 2-0 and shocking an FBS program win. But now they have to get that mojo back after being 1-1, 200 points. But they remain at number 3. At number 2, Florida A&M Rattlers, 1-1 on the season, 1-0 in conference race, 2-0, 2 first-place votes, and they just keep rolling. They did have that loss to South Florida, but they look good if there's such a thing. At number 1, North Carolina Central Eagles are 2-0. They beat up on Aggies as they just keep rolling in that Carolina Classic there. North Carolina Central gets it done. 11 first place votes, 231 total points. They are and continue to be the unanimous number 1 team in the major division poll rankings. I started with you, Charles. So I'm going to go to you, AD Drew. Let me know, what do you think of the top 7 this week in Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Huddle Report, major division rankings for week number 2.
Hey, Dr. Cavil, this is the byproduct of when you switch from a top 5 to a top 7. There's a couple of teams on this list that don't deserve to be up here right now. And I'm just being real. And then we've got a team that's receiving votes. Prairie View Panthers. Prairie View beat Lone Victory came in the SWAC West. The mantra for the SWAC West with the only victory in the 2 weeks that the SWAC West has played a game, but that victory came against the SWAC West opponent. So let's discount that one right there. Alabama State, we've already went through that one. Hampton, we kind of gone through that one. But get back into it, Alabama A&M is kind of there by default. I mean, because you have to, because you said we go with the top 7. That's why Alabama A&M is there. That's right now. They have not. They lost big in week 1 and they beat a D2. You're supposed to be glad. And I'm just being for real. I would think about switching Howard over Tennessee State.
Yeah.
I've got to put Jackson State over Morgan. I know Charles loves me saying that. Poor Morgan. If you watch ESPN, Scott Van Pelt last night after the game last night, the bad beats, the top bad beat of the week was Morgan State.
Yeah.
I was waiting on the top
right.
bad
I wasn't going to
beat
say
of
nothing,
the
but
week.
it's true. It was.
And that was anyway. I go back and listen to Sunday Sports Wrap and listen to how I broke that down and how that should have gone on. But anyway, I'm done. But I can't argue with number 1 and number 2. I do think Jay Say should be number 3 though.
All I'm gonna say is those Bulldog fans, Alabama A&M, send your texts and tweets to this. That was me. I just do the rankings. I just put it together. He's not a believer, but I say this: you got a chance to go down to Baton Rouge. Maybe if you do something nice down there, you get another believer. We'll see. Charles, what do you think of in this top rankings? What are your thoughts on all this?
I would just the eyeball test, the way Howard looked against Eastern Michigan, and then they come out dominant against Morehouse. Howard would be on top of Tennessee State for me. Tennessee State with the squeaker. It was almost a miracle in Memphis there for UAPB. And that it's interesting how a loss sort of invigorated a fan base. That was very interesting to me to kind of watch UAPB's fan base this past week. Jackson State, I can't say enough about that. That's a huge win, especially coming off of the Florida A&M loss. If any time there was a team licking their chops, waiting on Jackson State to come in, was Southern home opener, Pete Richardson Classic, and they spoiled the party. That's big. That's big for TC's program. That's big for Jackson State going forward. And like I said, if you don't get Jackson State early, they get dangerous. Down the schedule. So we'll see if Florida A&M gives back any ground. But I tell you what, it's hard to go against North Carolina Central and Florida A&M right now. They both look the part. They both look like the 2 best teams in HBCU football. They look like two of the better teams in FCS football, period.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you say you have Howard over Tennessee State?
Yeah, I think Howard is looking a little bit better than Tennessee State. And the data right now, Tennessee State, of course, they had Notre Dame, White Pelt went off, but just me looking at them versus UAPB, I thought they were going to be a little bit more dominant in regards to the defense, but SWAC got Offensive Player of the Week off of Tennessee State's defense because John's he ran for 167 yards against Tennessee State. So eyeball test, I think Howard just looked a little better than Tennessee State thus far. Johnny Davis,
I would concur.
Running back.
Yeah, I would concur with you, Charles, on that.
In terms of this for you, Drew, who you have in the top 7 since you're not excited about Alabama A&M being ranked there this week at least?
Honestly, I would cut it off at 6. That's how.
Hey,
I mean, because there is nobody there outside who's receiving votes, who dropped out, who's looked sexy, who's looked apart.
Hell Wildcats. Give Bethune-Cookman your vote.
They beat Savannah State. Savannah State haven't showed me nothing yet, man. Come on, man. And I'm being serious. No one else has shown me anything to make me believe that they put you like this. Your number 7 slot is going to be like a revolving door this year with what I've seen through the 2 weeks of football this year, Dr. Cavil. You're going to be struggling to find out who's number 7 right now until somebody looks the part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. That's a great point, especially for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting to see just how long that goes on, who rotates in and out of the top 7. Will somebody have on the top 7 and maybe even push their way up? That will be fascinating to say. But last thing, since you're picking on number 7, I said that purposely. Norfolk State?
Who?
Norfolk State. That's a good one.
He said,
yeah.
All right, let me go to a break before we get all of us in trouble. We got Bulldogs bad, Alabama State Hornets bad, Spartan Nation bad. He said, who? Oh, my God.
Behold, the great goal.
Already told us about Tennessee State and talk about he's not looking the part either. With that being said, we'll be back after this last break. We'll come back on the other side, continue with some major talk. We'll have the major classic game of the week and independent game of the week. Maybe we can get in some insight in some of these programs to see what's going on as we get into some matchups for this week. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break.
2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Test the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. These two gentlemen helped me with my poll rankings. They look concerned next week. I need some teams to get some wins. We might be struggling. We might have to do something else, go to a top 5. With that being said, and we'll stick with the top 7. We'll do it. I'm just saying. I know. So it's early. Let's go to the major division, and we're going to go with the classic game of the week. We got a nice matchup. It's a battle to HU. I know Brian likes to say it's all HU right now. Howard is looking for the H back because they hadn't had much success. But if there's a time to get it, it might be now. Number 6 ranked Howard Bison in Audie Field. Truth and Service Classic. We got another MEAC CAA. I almost said the word, but I'm not going to do that. Coastal. Colonial. Whatever. We there. Since Coach Oliver can go off. I can go off too. But that being said, it's Saturday, September the 16th, 2:30 p.m. Hampton Pirates matchup, number 6, Howard Bison 1-1 versus what would be Hampton. I have them way down there at like number 12 in terms of the teams that are ahead of them. So seriously, if Bison want to make a statement, this is a chance to do it in regards to saying that the MEAC is for real. What's interesting in this matchup, you got a couple of these games. You have 9 games essentially between the MEAC and the Coastal Athletic Association. Currently, check this out. The MEAC has won the first 3. They only need 2 to win the series. Can they take a large step this weekend? Because you got a couple of matchups to get out there. In fact, you got 3 of them this week in terms of what's going on. So it'll be interesting to see how far a statement the MEAC can make. But with that, let's focus on this matchup. Charles, Howard Bison versus Hampton. What are your thoughts? Who you have?
I think Coach Trialo threw the gauntlet down for the MEAC. So I'm ready to go all in, MEAC over
And
CAA.
that was your question. That was your fault.
I know, right? When I heard the answer, I was like, well, that one's going viral. So, but I like the matchup. I like Howard. I like Howard's running back, Jared Hunter. I believe Howard has a good balance with regards to run and pass. So I really think Howard can get this W over Hampton this weekend.
Well, Silas McMorris agrees with you, Charles. He picking Howard. Let me go to you, Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup between Howard and Hampton?
I agree with my brother Charles over there. The MEAC, despite being the perceived weaker conference, has shown their dominance over the CAA thus far this season. Although the MEAC may drop a game to the CAA over the 9 games that they play, I don't think this is going to be the game that the MEAC will drop. You know, there's a lot of pride going on there in DC. Howard is back in the business of athlete to go with the student. You know, for so long it's been student, then athlete. Now they're merging the two together. They are student athletes at Howard. They got a lot of good things going on at Howard. The only thing I'm wondering is moving the game to Audi Field. Does that take away that atmosphere? Because yes, you're in DC, but you're not at Green Stadium. And is that enough to let the HBCU killers come in and do what they do? Because that is what Hampton is. They are the HBCU killers out there. They play you non-conference. It's been a dub for Hampton up until this year for the last 3 or 4 years. So beware Howard, but I think Howard has what it takes on paper. Question is, can they execute?
That's a great point, because even last year they beat A&T, that is now a conference foe in terms of football. At that time, A&T was in the Big South Conference, and so that's fascinating. When you look at that, Hampton is 1-1 on the season. A couple of more matchups. It'll be interesting to see how they fare and see if there's a change of tide. Talking about the Big South, they have merged with the OVC. So this week, in terms of our independent non-conference game of the week, we have in East Green this matchup is at Nashville, Tennessee. In terms of what's going on here, you have the number 5 Tennessee State Tigers hosting Garner Webb Bulldogs. Tigers coming in at 1-1, as well as the Bulldogs coming in 1-1. This is a conference matchup since the merger, the Big South and OVC. I'll say again, it is at 5 o'clock, and it'll be fascinating to see what this looks like in terms of the game going forward. I'm going to stay with you, Drew. Garner Webb Bulldogs and Tennessee State. Can Tennessee State continue to climb up the mountain as Coach Eddie George kind of changed the tide? This the game where they can say, hey, we want to march towards a championship, or at least start off in good fashion. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
Can they? Yes. Will they? I hope so. You know, Tennessee State needs to get off to a good foot in whatever we're calling this combined conference this year. Tennessee State has everything. They definitely have the defense. They have the running game. can Tennessee State play a clean game? That is the question.
Yeah.
You know, not a whole lot of penalties, no turnovers. You know, taking advantage. Defense gives the offense short fields. That's what this is going to be, especially when you're on the road in hostile territory. Tennessee State has everything that they need to win, but they've got to find that one last thing to get over that hurdle and put all the pieces together and get off and make everybody else in this new combined conference fear them.
Drew, Brandon King said it won't be a walk in the park for TSU. So similar to what you're saying, he said, yeah, but he's not too sure. He wants to see it done. Before I ask you on this matchup, I want to shout out Emma Price. She says, thank Charles. I believe that's for when you gave a shout out to Bethune-Cookman and talk about they should be in the ranking. With that being said, let's go back to this independent matchup and get your thoughts. Tennessee State, obviously, Jackson State has left the Southern Heritage Classic. They did it in fine fashion after winning the last two matchups. But Tennessee State says they want to show a thing or two. Can they do it in the Big South OVC, this new merger, as Drew says, whatever they want to call it, conference? What are your thoughts in terms of this Garner-Webb matchup? They play some good football coming out of the Big South, got it done last year. So they're at the top of the mountains. So they're going to feel really good about their chances to repeat in this new framework of a conference. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup, Charles?
This is tough. This will be a tough test for Tennessee State. But Drew, you touched on something that I think plays into how I think Eddie George wants to see this program, and physicality and the number of rushing attempts. So I'm looking for this game for Jalen Rouse to be well over 20 rushing attempts to kind of control the clock, keep Gardner-Webb's offense off the field. Like I said, I think Tennessee State has some pieces on defense. James Green, mentioned him earlier, being the OVC Defensive Player of the Week. For them to get a win over Gardner-Webb, they've got to be able to bring some physicality in this game and run the football, eat up some time, and limit Gardner-Webb possession. So that being said, I'm a roll with Tennessee State on this one, but this is tough. This is going to be a tough.
The thing is, they can't turn the ball over 5 times.
That killed
Brandon King brought that up against Pine Bluff.
Clean game.
You can't do that. I think you're going to find a way to fight and win this game against Gardner-Webb. Just can't get it done. With that said, let's come to a close. Getting out of here. Any final thoughts in terms of this week for you, Drew?
No, it's beware Florida A&M. Last week you played a FBS team in South Florida. This week you've got one of the better teams in Division II football in West Florida. You got a home winning streak there at Bragg. Don't let the bragging stop against the D2 team. The Orange and Green would never let Willie hear the end of it. The hell with beat Jackson State. Y'all just lost to West Florida. That's what the thing gonna be if FAMU can't pull it off this weekend. Beware FAMU. Let's get refocused and do what we got to do to handle this game.
Yeah, I think Charles, your thoughts? Any final thoughts? A couple of years ago, Jackson State, similar type of framework, brought up Division II, got it done in fine fashion. Folks question it in terms of coming into that matchup, but they took it on the chin, the Demons, and kept it going. Last year against Campbell at a Colonial. Another shout out to SWAC school getting it done against the CAA. With that said, any final thoughts for you in terms of this week?
All eyes will be on Mumford this weekend, Baton Rouge, with Alabama A&M coming into Baton Rouge. So the question is, can Southern bounce back the way Jackson State bounced back against them? You got a tough SWAC East opponent. You got a hard running back to bring down. That's rested. He didn't play this past week. So they got two tough rushers, Ryan Morrow and Donovan Eaglin, coming into Southern this weekend. Southern got to find some offense from somewhere.
Good points. Guess what? That's going to be our SWAC game of the week on Thursday, so we get a chance to get your inside thoughts in terms of going in that. With that being said, I want to say thanks, Drew, coming in for the fences.
Before we do it, can I get just a second?
Sure.
And ask for a moment of silence. I don't know if you was watching Sunday. Lost a member of my family. Lost my aunt this last weekend, and then also found out that lost my cousin. And I've got to go home and got where my aunt's on my dad's side, my cousins on my mother's side of the family. But on Friday, I've got to be at home for not one but two memorial services. So if y'all don't mind joining me in a moment of silence for my family, the Drew and the Stepney family, both sides of my family.
Sure. Certainly, we'll do a moment of silence. With that being said, our hearts are certainly with you and want you to have traveling grace. With that, let's have a moment of silence for our colleague, A.D. Drew and his family. That being said, I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports. Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening. Dr. Cavil's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and special colleague, this associate professor, as we put him on tenure track, A.D. Drew. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. We look forward to discussing the latest news in the lab on Thursday. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's Dr. KENYATTACAVIL. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook. And I guess now they say formerly known as Twitter on X. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
80?
Lecture.
Dismiss.